Hey everyone, John here from Bite Size Cruises. Come on with us today as we do a full tour of the MSC Meraviglia. We're also going to do a little bit of a review and some details about the cruise while we're at it. So come on with us right after this. Hey everyone, welcome back. John here from Bite Size Cruises. Here we are on deck 15, which is the pool deck on the Meraviglia. Beautiful day here. As again, I always give the caveat, generally when we're doing these videos of the ship tour, we try to do them when the ship is empty. So generally it's a port day. We try really hard not to get people on video because not everybody wants to be in our ship tour videos or in any of our videos. So we really try our best to clear things out first. So here we are on the pool deck. This ship, we were on the Seascape last month on a Meraviglia this month. This ship is a much more traditional cruise ship, let's say. It's much more, reminds me of like a Royal Caribbean ship. Here on the pool deck, you do have one of the great things with MSC is you have a lot of coffee, a lot of ice cream. So you have ice cream up here on deck 15, which is soft serve. Then you have this little outdoor small buffet area, which connects to the regular buffet, which we'll see in a little bit. But it's also a bar where you can grab drinks. And this is the other side of the pool deck where there's also a bar. There are tons of bars. Nothing was ever super crowded. The ship did not feel crowded, even though it was full. Here we go into the actual buffet on deck 15, the World Marketplace buffet. One thing I will say is now, once we are in 2023 here, there hasn't been anyone kind of telling you to wash your hands or washy or anything like that. So just be careful when you're cruising, wash your hands, be neat and clean. So the buffet here is huge. We're going to take you through a pretty big chunk of the buffet, but it is really, really big. So typical size of like a very large ship. It's bigger than the buffet on Oasis of the Seas, which is, one of the largest ships in the world. And then they do have these pizza and pasta stations. They do have everything organized really well. The ship does have a large variety of food. I didn't see any difference in the food between Meraviglia and Seascape. People complain about the MSC food a lot. When I was looking at the buffet and the times that we ate, the food was pretty dead on the same as Royal Caribbean or Norwegian. Love the little death stare that woman just gave us for videoing. But the free or the complimentary included in your cruise fare food was comparable with every other cruise line. I didn't see any difference at all. Here we're going to show you the fancy blue mugs that they make a lot of announcements not to steal because they're very nice. So the pizza and pasta, I will say, is very good on MSC. It's the best kind of included in your cruise fare pizza and pasta that I've had on a cruise. And the rest of the food, like I said, is pretty dead on the same as far as free food or complimentary food goes. I didn't see any quality or consistency differences from Royal or Norwegian or Carnival or anybody like that. So as you can see, the buffet area is very large, takes up pretty much the whole back of the ship. They do have a very small outdoor area here where you can eat outside. Here we are in Port Canaveral, docked right next to the Disney Wish. I kind of just wanted to take you around to show you the kind of scale of the buffet and the amount of selection. I thought there was a great amount of selection on this cruise as well. Here you'll see the pizza, which again was really good. No shortage of seats either. This is an actual time, obviously, when the buffet is open. And as you can see, it's not very crowded, although we are in port. So keep that in mind. But it was not overly crowded. I always find if you go straight to the back, I know this is the tip everybody gives, but if you bypass the original line when you walk in and just go all the way to the back of the ship, there's generally no one there, and it's the same food. Everything's the same. So just wanted to give everybody a good idea of how big the buffet is. Also, I wanted to come down this side of the ship here on the starboard side so you could see the bar. So they do have a bar in the buffet as well, just so you get an idea of that. And there is espresso everywhere on the cruise ship. So again, being an Italian cruise line, you're going to get a lot of coffee and a lot of gelato. So you can see they have the really nice espresso machines at pretty much every bar and restaurant that you go to. Here we're going to come out on deck 15 on the other side, and you're going to have the bamboo pool, which is really nice. This is an area that has a retractable roof, and it was closed here. And you may see in the next video, or later in this video when we're on the upper deck, it's open. So if the weather's really nice, this is going to be open to the air. If it's not, we had a couple really rainy sea days on the way back, and this area the roof was closed, so you could still get in the pool. And I found it to be pretty empty, even on those sea days where it was nasty out. There was not a lot of people in this area. It nowhere near as crowded as I thought it was going to be, which is really nice. And this winds you out right to the actual pool deck, so it's right next to the other atmosphere pool there. It's a large area. It's a pretty large area. There is an upper deck where you can just hang out. And they have foosball and ping pong and things like that, which we'll see shortly. People getting their laps in here. So here we go up onto deck 16, which is the upper sun deck here above the pool. Get a good idea. This is a normal morning. It is not very crowded at the pool. Again, we're in Port Canaveral, so you're not, it's not going to be as crowded as normally be, but not a ton of people get off at Port Canaveral. So it's a more typical than a normal. It's a more closer to normal than a typical port day would be. I do like this ship a lot. I like the configuration of the ship. It's pretty open, where Seascape is very sectional, which I loved Seascape. This definitely feels like a Royal Caribbean ship. It's like a smaller version of an Oasis class ship, if that makes sense. Slightly smaller. And then this deck winds all the way around here where you see the track. I'm going to speed it up a little bit here so you don't have to walk the whole deck. And again, we're going to try to edit some people out so they don't feel like we're intruding upon them. This is going to wind all the way to the back where we're going to come up on the adults only section. We'll talk about that a little bit in detail. I found it weird, a little bit weird on the ship where some things are located, but we'll get into that as we go through here. We're going to wind around here and head back towards the Horizon pool and amphitheater. I do like to leave some of these in because I want you to get an idea of how big the ship is. And it's a big ship. So interesting too, if you're playing trivia, all the decks have names. So if you show up for any of the trivia contests, you should memorize or at least try to be familiar with some of the deck names. Each of the decks on here is named after like a wonder of the world. Meraviglia means wonder. Also trivia tip there. So it's the wonders of the world. So here's the Horizon pool and amphitheater. So on the Horizon pool, this is kind of where they have parties at night as well when the weather's nice. The Horizon bar up there has a DJ. This is kind of a cool area. Also a very quiet area where there's an additional pool. There are a lot of pools, which is nice, so you don't get everybody bunched up into one area. Obviously, the big party pool in the middle, and then you have these smaller offshoots. This is a really nice pool here. Again, docked right next to the Disney Wish there. All right, and we're heading on into the Sportsplex. So here we are on deck 16. We're going to wind around here to the arcade. So you're going to be able to see the arcade here, which is a really small arcade, which I noticed on most of the newer cruise ships. They have a tiny little arcade, which is fine. I like the old big arcades with tons of games, but these only have, like around 10 or so games. Still nice. It's a nice little distraction if you want something to do. Then they have the sports court. where they do pickleball, basketball, soccer, volleyball. We even got to see the crew playing basketball in here at night. It was really nice to see them getting out and running around a little bit. So then there is a little bowling alley here as well. I did not see anyone bowl the entire week we were on here. It is additional to bowl, but they do have that. They have the sports bar. Again, this was never open during the week we were there. And again, coffee machines everywhere. Then they have a couple little arcade games here. And then we're going to wind around and you're going to see the F1 simulator. Which is pretty cool. They have 2 F1 cars here that you can jump in and do the simulator. They also have the XD Theater, which we did, and it was really fun. You put on 3D glasses, and you get to shoot zombies on the movie screen, as you can see up there on that little screen. They're showing it right now. The F1 simulator is pretty cool. It's like $10 or $11 to do that as well. It's pretty cool. Then we're going to see the MSC gym here for the once and only time on the cruise. I know the joke never gets old. So you wander in here. It is a pretty nice gym. It's not as big as most cruise ship gyms at this point, but again, like, you know, there's like 50 or 100 treadmills in here and some weights. You're never going to see more than 10 or 15 people in here. So it's perfect for what it is, I think. I think on a lot of the ships, the gyms are huge, and you really never see that many people working out. Here we are back in the bamboo pool. This is the upper level of the bamboo pool as we wander in here. Also, stay tuned till the end. We're going to do a full tour of the Yacht Club as well. So it's a little incentive, or just fast forward to the end, whatever you feel like doing. So you'll see here in this video, the roof is open. It's a beautiful day, and it does retract on demand. It takes about 5 minutes for the that dome there to retract. It did happen one day. It started raining and they retracted the roof. So it's pretty cool. We got to see that. Again, there's foosball. There's 2 hot tubs up here. One day I was here reading a book, and there were 4 women in the hot tub singing opera. And they were very loudly, I might add. And they were asked very quickly to stop that by the staff. I will say on MSC, unlike some of the other cruise lines, they have a low tolerance for shenanigans, which I appreciate. So here we are up on deck 17. You can see the retractable roof that goes over that bamboo pool here. There's a ton of deck space if you just want to hang out and read and get some sun. Obviously up here, you're not going to get a ton of shade, but tons and tons and tons of space. This is on deck 17 above or deck 18 above the Horizon pool. So we're going to wander over here to the Horizon bar. But this little amphitheater here, this is where they do the late night disco parties. Like I said before, if the weather's nice out. It was not crowded ever up here, but it was really nice. The bar does get a little crowded, as you can see during the day. A lot of people hang out. Here's the funny part to me is when you walk in here, this is the teen nightclub. Right outside that door is the adults only Horizon bar and pool area and the amphitheater. And then right inside is the kids area. So it doesn't really make a ton of sense that the kids area, you have to go through the kids area to get to the adults only area. And that the adults only area is right next to the kids area, because then they're going to come out and automatically go into that area. It doesn't make a ton of sense. However, it's fine. It doesn't affect my life at all. They do have a partnership with Lego MSC. So you see these little Lego things here. And then on the other side of deck 18 up here, we have the adults only Sky Lounge. This place was jumping at night. It was like jazz music, which you would think would be pretty laid back and cool, but I saw people doing shots in here. It was a wild time, but really nice area, has beautiful views. You can watch the movies at night from up here, or just a cool place for sail away as well. It's actually bigger than it looks. It's a pretty big space here. And over on that little side there is where the musicians would come at night and play. It was really nice. And then we're going to wind around here to the other side, and it's going to connect to the smoking room where you can buy cigars or go smoke cigarettes. There are quite a few spots on the ship where you can smoke. You can smoke on the pool deck. Generally, for most cruise lines, it's on one side of the pool deck. On MSC, it was both sides of the pool deck. Obviously, here in the smoking room, there was a ton of people vaping and smoking. I saw them in here. And also in the casino, which I was in the non-smoking area, and there were ashtrays and people were smoking. So I think it's all bets off in that area. It's a nice little room, though. Then we're going to head all the way up to deck 19 here to the Aqua Park. This is where the ropes course is. This is where the 2 water slides are. The water slides, you have to go all the way to the top of the ship to get to the water slides. So not a ton of people just hanging out up here. It's an interesting configuration where the only reason to go up here is to go on the water slides. So I didn't see a ton of people using the water slides, but they look nice. And this is like a nice day, so it's interesting. There are 2 water slides. One is a person slide where you just slide through the water slide. The other one is a inflatable one where you get a little inflatable tube and you go down. That they both looked really fun. We always say that we're going to do the water slides, and then we forget until like the last day, and it was raining. Here's the polar bar. Again, gelato up here. You will find gelato or ice cream almost everywhere on the cruise ship. And it's really, really, really good. The gelato is an additional cost, though, just so you're aware. And here are the water slides, just so you get a little bit of a view. All right, now we're going to dig all the way down to deck 5. And here we have the Infinity Atrium. I really like this space. It's very calm and quiet. This was not a very crowded space on the ship, which I like. You do have the Infinity Bar down here. It does get a little bit crowded during the day at some points because there is a desk down here where you can, God, why can't I not think of the name of it? But anyway, there's a customer service desk. Guest services, kids. That's what I was thinking of. But there's a bar down here. There's a lounge. They have live entertainment down here during the day. And then they do have an excursions desk and a guest services desk. So that does get a little bit crowded, but there are multiple excursion desks around the ship. There's one on the promenade. There's one here. There's a self-service kiosk one. So plenty of spots to get help, which I think helps a lot because it spreads things out a little bit. Then we're going to wander over here to the business center, which is pretty small, just a few conference rooms. I did video one of them. Here you go. It looks like a little tiny movie theater. But just so you can get an idea, if you need to have a meeting on board or anything, you can always rent these out. So now we're going to head over here to one of the main dining rooms, which is the Waves dining room. This is down here on deck 5. One of the other things I do try to bring up too is I try not to be intrusive. So if people are working, I just kind of will go in and peek around so you can get an idea what the space looks like without disrupting all the employees being able to do their job. So I did just want to jump in here real quick and get a peek of it, but I didn't want to be disruptive. So that's that. Now we're going to jump up to deck 6 on the promenade here. And here's where it feels very Royal Caribbean. So to the left over here, we have the Meraviglia Bar and Grill. The promenade is really big, and I will show you a little video clip of kind of the scale of it so you can get a good idea of how big it is. They do a lot of things down here, setting up for arts and crafts here, which we did a few days, which was really fun. They do trivia down here. They do karaoke there sometimes, the live band karaoke. Then there's a bunch of shops here. If you look up, that ceiling dome changes all the time. That's actually really cool, which is a little bit of an innovation factor from, Royal Caribbean. I feel like they do take a lot of things from the other cruise lines and just try to make them a little bit better. So here is the Jean Philippe chocolate area. So there is a chocolate bar where you can get coffees and hot chocolates and all different kinds of macaroons and chocolates, and you can buy all kinds of things here. Never really crowded here either, which is interesting. When we were on Seascape, this area was pretty crowded, and on Meraviglia, especially with it being right on the promenade, I expected it to be more crowded, and it wasn't, which was really nice. But that's like real chocolate there. So you see they have chocolate chips. They have all different kinds of boozy hot chocolates, regular hot chocolates. You can buy all these different things. They're making fresh chocolate on the ship every day, which is incredible. Then on the other side of the promenade, we're going to see Hola Tacos and Cantina. We did a lunch here one day. It's really great. It's $17.99 to do all you could eat, or you could just order a la carte from the menu. But the $17.99 makes sense. Cute restaurant. They have really fun t-shirts in here. Really nice setup. It's fun. The food is great. So we would definitely recommend that. Then we're going to wind down here in the promenade a little bit. On the right, you're going to see Jean-Philippe Gelato and Crepes. Here's the other excursion desk that we mentioned. So you see there is another excursion desk. Again, more gelato. Crepes over there. We didn't actually try the crepes. We did eat a lot of gelato. But I saw the crepes. They look very decadent. Then you have the little plaza here with a bunch of shops in it and some artwork. You know, this is where they do like bags and everything else. The one thing I will say about MSC is there's not as much nickel and diming as there is on other cruise lines, which is nice. You don't have people bothering you or trying to get you into different areas all the time. And we're going to wander over here to the other side to Ocean Cay. This is the seafood restaurant on board. This is a really, really good specialty dining restaurant. It is expensive. If you do the package, you can pick, from a specific area on the menu, and you can also do an upgrade if you wanted something different. I did the lobster upgrade, so you get 50% off any entree. So it was like $20 to get lobster. It was really good. Then we wander down here. This is a little skincare shop over there on the right. And then we're walking down to the end of the promenade, which is where that atrium is that we were just in on deck 5, looking up. I'm going to get to the end here. I'm going to turn around and just kind of give you an idea of how big the promenade is. It's just as big lengthwise, I think, as the Royal Caribbean promenades, but obviously not as wide. The Royal Caribbean, the Oasis class ships are just so big. But it is bigger than the promenade on like Anthem or the Esplanade, I guess, on Anthem or the Quantum class ships. It's really big. There's a lot there. There's a lot going on. It's a fun spot where they do some of the parties and shows. Here you have the MSC shop. And then we're going to wind around to the little photo area. It's funny, after you've been on a few cruises, you kind of like ignore the photo area because it's I think it's like a ripoff on a lot of the ships where, it's like $20 for one picture. So I probably my last 20 cruises, I just say no whenever anybody comes around. The other thing I noticed with MSC too is no one comes into the restaurants to like harp you to take your pictures, which happens a ton on Royal and a ton on Norwegian. I feel like they're trying to take your picture every 5 minutes on Norwegian. But here's your, standard photo area where they sell your pictures, and they also sell your, like, if you wanted to buy a GoPro or camera stuff, they have it there. There's some statues and fun art pieces. There's no big art gallery on the ship, which is fine by me, because the Park West Gallery is the same on pretty much every ship. So it's nice that they don't have that, so you don't have to do that. There's no like art auction. There's no any of those things, which is nice. Then we're going to come over here to the Edge cocktail bar on deck 6. This is kind of hidden over here on deck 6. Good spot to get a drink. It does not get crowded, which is really nice. And it's a big bar. So good place to jump in, grab a drink. Again, espresso machines everywhere on the ship. So if you want fancy coffee, you have no shortage of options on this Italian cruise ship. Then again, more shops, your jewelry stores, all those things that all the cruise ships have. And then these Swarovski crystal stairs that everyone needs to get their picture taken on, apparently, because God forbid we use the stairs to go up and down. They get super crowded at night with everybody taking their pictures, which it's beautiful. I get it. But we laughed and said they should just have steps that go to nowhere so people can get their picture taken on them, and you could still use the actual stairs to go up and down. Here's the extent of the art gallery. It's just a couple pictures up there, nothing crazy at all. This is the immersive gallery that you walk through. That's it. Just a couple pictures. And then they have these little kiosks here to print out your photos if you find pictures that you like. So you don't even have to have them delivered to your room or anything. They'll do it right there for you. Then we're going to wander down around and we're going to head over to the main dining rooms. 2 of the main dining rooms on deck 6 here. Get a good idea. These are both giant dining rooms. And they're just on the right and left. So you'll be assigned one of these dining rooms. I'm just going to take a quick peek in here. Again, I don't want to disrupt anybody while they're working, getting these set up for the evening, but just to give you a quick little taste of what they look like. They're pretty dining rooms. To me, a little nicer than like Taste and Savor on Norwegian, but still very utilitarian. Then you have this beautiful little area here where it's all lit up. It's a good Instagram shot with wine bottles and these little self-service wine stations. Again, you can see how big both of the dining rooms are here. We did not eat in these particular dining rooms, so I'm not sure how crowded they get, but I'm sure they get crowded. And then we're coming down here to the Panorama restaurant. And obviously the Panorama restaurant has floor-to-ceiling windows, hence the name. This is a really, really nice dining room. Again, just poking our head in here. We don't want to be too disruptive to the staff, but it was kind of quiet. So we jumped in a little bit and did some video, but just beautiful views out the back of the ship here. Really, really nice. Another pretty big dining room. Then on the other end of deck 6 in the front of the ship, we have the Broadway Theater. Not as big a theater as on Seascape, a little bit smaller. There are 2 shows every night. You do have to sign up for the shows, and the shows did get like fully packed. So we'll talk about a little bit when we do a review of the Yacht Club. You do have special seating for the Yacht Club, but it's not as good as you would think. There are some flaws in it. We'll talk about that when we get to that video. But it's a decent sized theater. It's not huge, and it was packed for every show. So you do have to make your reservations, and I do recommend getting there like 15 minutes ahead of time. Otherwise, it's a nightmare trying to get in and find a seat. So here we are up on deck 7 in the back of the ship, and this is the Carousel Lounge. This is where they do the Cirque shows. They do Rock Circus, and they do House of Houdini. Both of those shows are an additional cost. They do come with a beverage. So they're $12 if you book before your cruise, $18 if you book it on the ship. It is 1,000,000% worth it. These were the best shows on the ship. The cast was super talented. This is a definite recommend for us. And beautiful views if you come here during the day. But the show was amazing. It's a really cool theater. Definitely check it out. And they weren't crowded, which is really weird. I guess because it's additional cost. So here we see the casino. This is right in front of that Carousel Lounge. Another thing to keep in mind if you're going to the theater, the Carousel Lounge obviously comes with a drink and you can drink in there. The Broadway Theater, you are not permitted to bring drinks in. So they were stopping people. You're not allowed to bring drinks in there. So just so you're aware of that. So we have this cool floor that looks see-through. It's kind of a cool effect. Casino was very smoky the whole time. So that is something to be aware of. If you don't like smoke, obviously you're going to have struggles in the casino, but it does really smell like smoke. And if you go there during the day, you could see the smoke above it. So not the best filtration system, but still fun. I did the slot contest in here. We played a little bit at the casino, but not too much. Also a great place to get a drink. It doesn't get super crowded in here, so it's a good spot if you just want to grab a drink. Casino's pretty big for a ship this size. Not as massive as like the Oasis class casinos, but it's a pretty good size. Bigger than the one on the Seascape, I think. Just a little bit bigger. They did slot contests almost every day, which was fun. You can also buy lottery tickets, the same as most of the cruise ships. You could do all of those fun things. They don't have the scratch offs or those little pull tab ones, though. I always feel like they're a scam anyway. Then out here on deck 7, if you wind out of the casino there, you're going to come out to the champagne bar. We love this spot. They have really fun champagne drinks in the champagne bar. Really cool area. They do have seafood here at night as well. It's a la carte and you have to pay for it. But the champagne bar is really, really nice. It's also big. It goes on both sides of deck 7 here outside of the restaurants, which is actually really nice to get a drink before you go to your dinner. Speaking of, as we wind down here on deck 7, this is above the promenade. We're going to walk up here to Butcher's Cut. We actually sat outside not outside, but outside of the restaurant at these tables when we had dinner, which was really nice. The actual restaurant itself is not super large. So having the extra 20 or so seats outside of there does really help it, I think, because it was pretty busy when we were there. Obviously, it's pretty small in here, as you can see. But none of the special dining restaurants were packed like the entire time we were on the trip. Which is always interesting to me. When we were on Seascape the last couple of days, first couple of days, there was no one in specialty dining. Then everybody was there. As we wind down from Butcher's Cut, this is the TV studio and bar. This is where the cruise director does her like little show every day. And then this is where they were doing language classes. They did painting in here. They did karaoke in here a few nights. This is a very popular venue. Obviously, it's easy to get to. It's right in the middle of the ship on deck 7, so makes sense. Then we're going to wind around to the other side of deck 7 here. You have kaito, teppanyaki, and sushi. Again, having these tables out here really helps because otherwise it's just the sushi bar there. Which only has about 10 seats. And then you have the teppanyaki inside there. We had a great time at teppanyaki. It is a ton of food, more food on this one than any other teppanyaki that we've done. Like an overwhelming amount of food. And if you watch our dining video or like our daily vlogs, you'll see that it's on our day 1 vlog if you want to check it out. Over here, next to that is your Brass Anchor pub. It's the British pub on board. That's another cheat tip there for progressive trivia. This is a British pub, not an Irish pub. They do have fish and chips and some other meals there, which would give that away a little bit. This is a cool area. This is where we did progressive trivia every night, which we came in second. 97 to 94. That's how close it was. Over 7 days. Tiny little library here at the end. This is right by the champagne bar, just to give you a little perspective. But they do have some books here. This is also towards the end of the trip, so it's possible that people had taken a lot of the books out as well. And then at the far end of deck 7, we have the spa. It is a nice spa. I don't like their thermal suite area is very nice. It's just not as big as like the Norwegian thermal suite area, which I love. This one's nice. If you are staying in the yacht club, you can come here, but on sea days, you have to make a reservation, which is kind of weird, which means that they oversell it a little bit, which I don't love. But it is nice. There's just not a ton of space in here. It's not very spread out. It's tight quarters. There are 2 hot tubs in here, though, which is really nice. And then you have some of the thermal area. You have showers, saunas, all your typical thermal suite options that you would normally see. Again, we do a lot of our video on port days, which is why it looks empty. But all in all, it's a nice area. It is very wet, though. I would say you have to be very careful in here. And then last but not least, let's do a little yacht club tour. This is the Yacht Club Lounge. There is food out pretty much all day until about midnight from like 6 in the morning. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, little snacks are out there. The lounge is a pretty good size. There's only 100 and some people in the Yacht Club. So this is a good size. Seascape, there was 300 and some people in the Yacht Club. I will say one thing about that. I think that the service in the Yacht Club was far better on Meraviglia than it was on Seascape, even though I liked the Yacht Club better on Seascape. The room was nicer on Seascape. The lounge was nicer. The restaurant was nicer. The buffet and the pool deck was nicer. But the staff and the people here on Meraviglia were amazing. Lex, our room steward, was amazing. Heather, our butler, was great. John and Michelle up in the Yacht Club pool deck area, they were amazing. They were teaching us Tagalog the whole time. It was really fun. So this is the pool and grill area of the Yacht Club. There is breakfast, lunch, and dinner buffet up here, obviously weather permitting. I did not take video of the Yacht Club restaurant. It was only open when dinner was being served, and I did not want to be overly intrusive while people were eating dinner and doing video. So I apologize for that. You can see we're right next to Mariner, I believe, of the seas there. And then here's the buffet area, which was really nice. Again, breakfast, lunch, and dinner out here. It's really nice. There's our friends over at the Yacht Club buffet. They were so nice. Everybody was great. Best service I've ever had in a suite, bar none. The service was outstanding. So thanks so much for watching this. We would love for you to subscribe to our channel. We will be on the Celebrity Summit this month in May. We will also be on MSC World Europa and then Brilliance of the Seas in June. And then we will be on NCL Joy. We have a bunch of ships and tours that will be coming up in the next few months. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Have an amazing day.